Hello and welcome to Red Cup Conversations. I'm your host, Kris Poliquin, and this is a production of Red Apples Media. If you're watching us on television, you're doing so on Lake Sumter TV, Comcast Channel 13, Bright House 498, and CenturyLink Prism Channel 83. So today I've invited what I'll consider from this point on a very special guest, Dr. Nitza Alvarez, who is the founder of the Tri-County Heart Institute and the only solo female cardiologist practitioner in Lake and Sumter counties. Did I say that all right?
Yes, sir.
It's a lot. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, doctor, for coming on to the show.
Thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure.
So tell us a little bit about yourself for those who don't already know.
Well, I was born in Puerto Rico. I am the oldest of 10 siblings. I come from a family that live in a very rural area. The only physician of the entire family, the first physician of the family for many generations. Right. So I did my training in Puerto Rico. I decided to be a physician when I was in high school and completed my medical school in Puerto Rico and then moved to the States to finish my specialty. I did cardiology in Albany, New York, where I moved strictly from Puerto Rico straight to Albany, not knowing what I was gonna find there, but then making my home. You know, very cold, very extreme weathers when we talk about that, when we think about it. So having come from a very big family and being the oldest of all, I think that has helped me a lot to be strong-willed and always trying to lead. So part of going and exploring new areas and trying to become my expert in what I wanted to do, it moved me to New York to do this. Okay. When I finished my fellowship in New York, I decided to move down to Florida because I wanted warmer weather.
Yeah.
Closer
Albany.
to Puerto Rico.
Cold.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So I established in this area. I've been in the area for the last 9 years. It's going to be almost 10 years. I've been practicing cardiology in the area, providing service for the community here in the Tri-County area. Lake Sumter and Marion. I
do find it intriguing that you said that you decided when you were in high school that this is what you wanted to do. What was it? Did you watch a favorite TV show or something that inspired you to, I want to be a cardiologist? Or just to get into the medical field in general?
Well, actually, when I was in my entire life, as far as I remember, I always said I want to be a science teacher, especially biology. Okay. I love biology, love to understand how living things work. Mm-hmm. And but when I started my high school year, I had a very good friend that was planning to go into medical school. And although that never came into my mind because I don't have any role models to inspire me to get there. And I thought that based on my resources, that was kind of like a big dream for me. Then I never thought of it. I want to be a teacher, biology teacher. And she said, you can teach and be a doctor. And I said, oh, that is a good idea. Then I'm going to become a doctor. And we both are going to go to medical school together. And that's actually when it clicked. Interestingly enough, I became a physician, but she didn't. Mm-hmm. So she was there to guide my path.
Teacher?
She was there to guide my path, like to put me on the right path. I do believe that everything in our life happens for a reason. I'm a firm believer of that. And I learned to look at the clues that life is giving you. And now that when I look back and I'm telling you the story, I realize that she was put in there for me to be here today. Because she was the one that guided that path for me to decide you are going to become a doctor and then provide my service as a cardiologist now for my patients. So no, she didn't become a teacher. She actually finished her bachelor in chemistry and then went to work for pharma rather than in the medical field. In a way, kind of like related, but not necessarily direct patient care. And that's how then the decision was made that. At that point, I didn't know I want to be a cardiologist. The cardiologist part came later. Once you are in medical school, then you start exploring specialties and different things. I know for sure that I want to be an adult physician. It was challenging for me to take care of little babies because they don't tell you what's wrong with them. So it's a little hard. They're crying. There's something is wrong with them, but they cannot tell you. So I said, I need somebody that can talk. that can tell me how do they feel, so I
what
can
hurts?
figure it out. You
Right,
know?
right.
So when that moment came, and then I said, okay, already make a decision that I'm going to be an adult physician, so that will be internal medicine for me. At that moment was my choice. And then in internal medicine, you have a lot of choices. So many people don't understand that all the specialists had to have some type of general medicine first, like gastroenterologists, endocrinologists, cardiologists. We all had to be internists first. And
Gotcha.
then you
Okay.
choose, I want to specialize in this. So when I was going through,
Quite the path.
and long, but very rewarding, especially if you like what you're doing.
Sure, sure.
So when I'm looking to doing my rotations in medical school in third year, then I started getting exposed to different specialties, and I decided that I want to do cardiologist because cardiology meant for the patient when you have a heart disease is a very vulnerable time for them. So I wanted to be that provider that was there to be able to take care of their health when they were most vulnerable, but at the same time be the expert that knew exactly what to do, but also be there to reassure them that it was going to be okay. So it was a combination of that, and then I said, this is what I want to do. And cardiology is very unique because there's not a dull moment in cardiology. First, it's always exciting. When patients are very sick, you have a lot of challenges, but you know there's a lot of things you can do for them.
Sure.
And then also because in cardiology you can be a little bit of a surgeon. You know, I do when you do implants and you do procedures, you do part of what a surgeon will do. You also do a little bit of radiology, which is doing the imaging, interpreting your studies, and then you do direct patient care. So there's never something that becomes such a routine for you that there's always something different that you're
Right.
doing
You don't
throughout.
find yourself getting complacent or, for lack of a better term, bored.
That is correct. That is correct. So there's always and even if you see the same condition, you can see 10 patients with the same diagnosis and they all behave different ways. So it's actually also it's fun, it's challenging, it's interesting because you always have to be thinking, you know what. It's not one size fits all.
Right.
What works for you doesn't work for the other person. So it makes it very special when it comes to the specialty to choose. And I actually do refer about that in my in my book and some of the speeches that I give. And I said that I consider the heart the organ with capital THE because it's the organ that keeps you alive. No,
Right,
so we only have
right.
one heart. And if you don't have a heart, you don't have anything else. And even though we want to think that you have, you know, we had 2 arms, we had 2 legs, we had 2 kidneys, you know, the liver regenerates, the intestine is pretty long,
Right.
but you only have one
You
heart.
only have one heart. Now, speaking of which, you have written a book, Heels versus Ties, right? What inspired you to do this in the first place?
Well, Heels versus Ties is a book that is written to educate the community about the importance of recognizing signs and symptoms of heart disease and what are the risk factors. You know, we know that heart disease is still the #1 killer in America, and every year it claims the life of about 420,000 women. And every year,
Wow, that's amazing.
every year, 50,000 more women than men die from heart disease.
Is that
And-
right?
Yes. So, and that is a little sad. No, we know that there has been a lot that have been done to try to create awareness, but I feel my intention with the book was actually to give the community an opportunity to read something that is simple to understand. We have information. Heart disease is the #1 killer in America for many reasons, but one of them is that people are not aware of it. Not necessarily because of lack of information, because of the accessibility of the information, and also because of the simplicity or the complexity in this case. You know, we have
Sure.
scientific studies, research studies, and we have seen that the American Heart Association have witnessed this. They have provide surveys where they try to inquire on female patients or female women about their life threat, and they still dread more cancer than what they do cardiac disease. So that tells us that although we had done a lot of work, we still not being as successful in creating that awareness that no, your number one life threat is your heart. It is like not understanding what is your first threat and what is the weakness of your house when you move into your house. No, it's
Right.
like, do I worry about my logs? Do I worry about my roof? If somebody tells you no, your roof is your problem, then you're going to focus on your roof. You're not going
right.
to focus on your doors.
Yep.
So the same thing. So when you do the surveys, they keep answering that they dread more cardiac cancer, and they actually believe that cancer is their number one life threat. So with the experience and as the teacher that I wanted to be, I always educate my patients when they come and see me. We go over, risk factors and what is good for them, what they should be doing. And I talk to all my patients about, especially female patients, about their risks and exploring and what can we do. And prevention, which I focus in prevention. That's what my practice focus on, is prevention. Okay. I do believe that prevention is the best intervention that you can do.
Well, if you can stop it before it happens. Exactly.
And I think that unfortunately in today's healthcare, we see healthcare as a solution to when a problem has already evolved, that had developed. No, it's like individuals come
That's
to see...
That's when people start to get serious after the fact.
So individuals come to see us when they are feeling sick, instead of looking at us as a tool or as a resource to prevent disease. I want to know, I want to understand what my risks are, and then work from there to prevent the disease. But even though I do spend time with my patients, there's a limited amount of people that I can reach to educating them. Now, educating them, I'm hoping that they're going to educate their family members. I'm hoping that they're going to educate their wives and their sisters and spread the info. No? So, I decide that the best way to spread that word in a simplistic way, because the book is written so either you have or you don't have education, you can understand what I'm saying in the book. So I try to simplify that so it's easy to read and easy for them to understand, because at the end it's just to let you know what is it that you have to look for.
Right. You want to get the information out there, not just because you're right. We're inundated with an abundance of information. People just go, okay, too complicated, too much, and they, I don't want to say neglect, but they miss some pertinent information that could apply directly to them, all because there's, I think, just too much out there, and sometimes, like you said, too complicated.
And just to give you an example, the majority of the people don't know what the risk factor for heart disease are. And they hear and they say, well, I don't smoke, or I don't have family history of heart disease. And so because those are the things that we hear a lot, if you had the opportunity to hear that.
Well, doctor, we need to take a quick break. But when we return, I'd like to continue our conversation and get a little more info out of you.
Perfect.
If you'd like to meet the author, Dr. Alvarez will be hosting 2 free seminars and book signings in February. You'll find her at Fruitland Park Library at 4 p.m. on Wednesday, February 5th, and at our Heels vs. Ties Girls Night Out at the New Venetian Center in Leesburg at 6 p.m. on Thursday, February 20th. The event is free, but seating is limited, so please pre-register at the web link on your screen. We'll be right back with more Red Cup Conversations with Dr. Nitza Alvarez. Hello and welcome back to Red Cup Conversations. Again, I'm your host, Kris Poliquin, and this is a production of Red Apples Media. So we're going to continue our conversation with Dr. Nitza Alvarez on some very important information near the heart. I had to put, why not, right? So before the break, we were talking about talking about Heels versus Ties, which is your book, where you're trying to help get some of that information out to your patients and others. Real quick, where can we find this book?
Heels versus Ties is available in Amazon. It's available in Amazon in a paper version and also Kindle Audible. And it's also available for to buy in my office, my practice.
Okay. Now let's talk about your practice. Where exactly are you located? And who do you I guess, see? Who do you treat?
Well, I operate a full cardiology practice. So although my passion is for women's heart disease, and I know we'll probably have a chance to elaborate a little more on that.
Oh, yes.
Is a practice that provides service for all patients that have cardiac disease or that want to prevent cardiovascular disease. Because as I told you earlier, this is what I focus on.
Sure.
And if you come to my practice and you already have developed cardiovascular disease, my goal is going to be to prevent you from having future events. So it's still a preventive practice because it is considered a secondary prevention.
Okay.
But so I have two offices. One office is located in the Sharon Morse building in the Villages. And the second office is located here in Leesburg in Highway 27 towards Claremont. So that way we are accessible for more patients to come and see us. I'm the only cardiologist in the practice right now. So when patients come and see me, they're going to see me. When they're coming to see a cardiologist, they're going to come and see me.
Right.
And we find that is very unique. I know that sometimes, although we all operate in different ways. I feel that part of what the success of the practice has been that when I told you that you're going to see the cardiologist and you hear me talking today and then you're interested in seeing me, then you will see me.
Right. You're not going to walk into a firm and then see another doctor.
That is correct.
It's going to be you.
That is correct.
Now, we're talking about the offices, your office in the Villages. Are there any specific challenges with, I'd say, because I expect you probably see a lot of villagers out there.
There's no particular challenges. Actually, I do like the population in the Villages area. I think that is a well-educated population, not because they're not educated everywhere, but I know that sometimes these type of patients are seen as challenging because they're quote unquote demanding. And I want to use that quote unquote because I feel that definitely because they understand when you have patients that are engaged in their care, those are the patients that you want to care for.
Gotcha.
They will be inquiring a lot. I make my patients get involved in their care. I believe that if you understand what is happening with you, I believe that if you understand why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I'm suggesting this medication or this supplement, that you understand why, so it makes you more compliant. So I think that is actually it's a very unique community, inspiring, people that are 80s, 85, very active, in good health, seeking to maintain that good quality of life. It's a place where you see the importance of health and how much quality of life has an impact on you. So that's why it also motivates me to continue focusing on this prevention so they can continue living their life the way they like, golfing, playing their pickleball, playing their tennis.
And they are active. They're living the life.
That is correct.
All right. So you spoke earlier about your passion is being, now I understand you're a doctor, so you help everybody, but your passion is women's health. Can you elaborate on that? Because there's been some, a lot of, I don't want to say changes, but aha moments, for lack of a better term.
My passion for women's heart comes from many aspects. It's not just one. I'm going to start with, I'm a woman. And when you,
that's the obvious.
And when you find a condition where I am underrepresented, where a person like me will be undertreated if it goes to emergency room, if a person like me will be underdiagnosed when it presents with a cardiac disease, then that caught my attention. Why? I want to be able to receive the proper treatment. I want to be able for people to recognize that I'm having a cardiac problem. So it starts with, I'm a woman, so I will be on that place at one point.
Sure.
I have 7 sisters, and I have my mother.
Sure.
So we all are related in terms of families. We all have women in our families, no? But in my case, after I started practicing cardiology, although when I was going through my training, this started already bugging my mind, to try to understand why. Why is such a big difference? Why are the outcomes worst? Understanding that. To give you an example, Kris, if a woman that is younger than 50 years old have a heart attack, she has a likelihood of dying 3 times of a man that has the same age that go to the hospital.
Really?
So when you see those statistics, you said, wow, this is bad. This is crazy. So looking at that, then it started running in my mind when I was doing my fellowship, trying to understand why. And I don't think it's clear yet. I think that there is a long ways for us to understand. We are far behind. I think that, it wasn't until approximately 10 years ago that the American Heart Association released the first statement recognizing that heart disease is different in women compared to men. And when I talk about it, I say,
that really is, that's amazing. That was just what, 10 years ago?
Just in the life, the American Heart Association has been an association that has been present to create this awareness for almost 90 years. So when you think about it, you said, wow. So in a sense, it's a sad truth, but at the same time, it's good. It's good that at least we're recognizing it. That there's a moment of truth, like the Me Too movement. So there's a moment that somebody had to stop and said, why are these disparities? Why is it still different? No? Mm-hmm. So going through that, and even though we don't necessarily understand all the aspects, we do understand a lot of those aspects. So then when I started practicing, and I started seeing these patients that come to the hospital late because they didn't recognize that they were experiencing symptoms of heart disease. And now when they come to us, they are in such a bad condition. Chances of dying are very high when they come because they take too long to come and see us. They have a lot of other comorbidities. They're more complicated when you're going to treat them, and perhaps they already have their disease is so evolved and so progressed that what you can do is so little. So taking care of those patients, being at bedside with them, they could be my mom, they could be my sisters, they could be my grandmother. They are somebody else's mom. They are somebody else's sister that are dedicating their life to their families, which is one of the most common reasons why they seek attention so late. One of them is because they don't recognize their symptoms, but another one is because they're too busy taking care of their family members. Yes. And then if they will understand what is it that I'm feeling, or what is it that I need to look for, or what are my risk factors, perhaps you can take care of you as you're taking care of others. But being at bedside with them and seeing the challenges that they had and the lack of knowledge then motivated me to keep working on focusing on what can we do to help them know. And that's part of my practice, my talks, my involvement with the community. We have been, I've been a big advocate, but also with the community, not just so much in my office alone, no, going out, giving conferences. We have been involved with the community in Breakfast in Red a few times, trying to create this awareness, but we had to do much more than that. So this is my first book, trying to collaborate with the cause and kind of like spread the word, make sure that I get to every corner and that every woman have an opportunity to know. If they don't do anything after they know, it's different. But when they don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
That is correct. How will you know unless you know? And I think that the book is actually very useful to that. I use that phrase that said, you don't know until you know. And I use that in a sense of how many times we go to see a provider, and the provider, and when I say provider, I mean a doctor or somebody that is providing medical care for you. It can be a nurse practitioner, a PA, and you look good, you've been active, you're doing okay, and they say, well, you look good, and then that's it. And I say, well, is that enough? How many times have we heard the story of somebody that comes and they say, well, they just got a clean bill from the doctor and they just dropped dead? And I said, because you don't know until you know. Right. So part of it is educating the community it's important to get checked. What are the tests that you should be doing? What your doctor should be looking for? And I help them with that through my book, giving them a good guide of these are the possible tests that your doctor can do to ensure that you don't have heart disease or what your risks are. Right. And then they will also help you to be your own advocate, which after all that's what the book is for. The book is to make you be your own advocate. If you know, you can advocate for yourself. If you don't know, somebody else is going to be defining your health.
Right. So basically, let's get away from, doc, it hurts when I do this. The doc says, then don't do that.
That is correct.
Right.
That is correct. That is
So
correct.
if someone wanted to get some more information on you or Tri-County Heart Institute, where can they get that information?
Well, they can find us online. They can go to our website, tc-heart.com.
Okay.
They can also look for us in YouTube. We have educational videos in YouTube and in Facebook. And
Okay.
of course, we're always just a phone away. We are available in our office. At our phone office is 352-504-3500.
Well, Dr. Alvarez, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day and coming and sharing this information with us.
Awesome. It's been my pleasure. And I will hope that our community, as they listen to this, get at least interest on and understanding more about their health threat and take action.
Well, thank you for that.
Thank you, Kris.
And that does it for this episode of Red Cup Conversations. Again, I've been your host, Kris Poliquin, and we'll see you next time.